Politics.
The word disgruntled amuses me. It just sounds funny, right? Disgruntled. Not to mention the fun we can have in deconstructing it. What's the opposite of disgruntled? Gruntled? Ingruntled, maybe. Let's compound the prefixes, shall we? Now we have disengruntled. As for the meaning of the word, the dictionaries don't do it justice. The first definition of disgruntled that pops up on Google, no source cited by the way, yields angry or dissatisfied. Dictionary.com, which pulls from the Random House, American Heritage, and HarperCollins dictionaries, says it means displeased and discontented, sulky, peevish. Cambridge Online says unhappy, annoyed, and disappointed about something. The word harks back to the 1600s. No, I said harks. Anyway, the word gruntle back then meant to utter little grunts, the result of which is what we might today call grumbling. The prefix dis, which typically reverses a word's meaning as in dislike or disappear, in this case serves to intensify the root's meaning. In other words, disgruntled describes someone who complains a lot, which is still a weak way of defining a word that these days is almost always associated with a violent lunatic at a workplace. A disgruntled employee, for instance, or a disgruntled customer.
Going postal.
Yeah, going postal. As for disgruntled employees, the story most always follows this pattern. Somebody at work did him dirty. He went home and loaded up his arsenal, which he easily acquired because this is America, damn it, and we like everyone to have guns, even our psychopaths. He dressed up like Rambo, and he returned to work and went out in a blaze of glory.
Fill your hand, you son of a bitch!
It's as if he were obliged to do all this because he came down with a condition called the disgruntled, a kind of fever that drove him berserk. As for disgruntled customers, fortunately, they are typically much less violent. Whereas they used to write their congressman or the Better Business Bureau or letters to the editor, they now spew misspelled, mangled reviews on Facebook and Yelp. If you're unaware of online review culture, let me tell you that most online stores like eBay and Amazon and business directories like Yelp and Google My Business include sections for customer reviews of products and services. These reviews often feature a 5-star rating system and a text box for comments. Then there's usually another text box underneath where the business being reviewed can reply to the review. Take it from someone who's worked in the service industry for many years, me. That reply box is a one-time opportunity for the business owner to say the right thing. And the right thing is always some variation of, we at such and such a business are truly sorry that you had a bad experience with us. We hope you will give us another try at no extra cost to you, so this time we can exceed your expectations. Word it however you want, but if you as a business owner don't take immediate responsibility for the customer's disengruntledness and express a desire in this public forum to alleviate his pain, then you've blown it. You've made a bad situation worse.
Well, if that's the way you feel about it.
I do.
Okay then, be that way.
I will.
The hit jobs that I described in part 1 of this hit piece about hit pieces, and that's episode 15 for those keeping score, those involve public figures and are executed on a grand scale. But what about the little hit pieces done to the rest of us? For instance, what about water cooler gossip? I hear that so-and-so slept with the boss, or, so-and-so, I just smelled booze on his breath. These are smear campaigns that many of us swim through every day. The internet is now the world's water cooler. Social media is the best way to spread not-so-passive-aggressive gossip, including indiscreet photos about coworkers and ex-lovers. Online reviews, as I mentioned, are the best way to get back at businesses who done you dirty. Not to mention there is little incentive not to exaggerate the perceived injustices. Discussion groups routinely attract amateur pundits who think themselves clever in comparing authority figures to Hitler. 65 years after the political philosopher Leo Strauss made fun of the practice by calling it reductio ad Hitlerum. Trolls threaten rape and murder with the kind of salacious detail that we used to only hear in serial killer stories. I do now herein christen this morass of mundane digital invective Yellow Stream Media. Yellow journalism sought to ignite wars where there were no conflicts, to topple beloved kings, and to elevate unqualified plebeians. Yellow stream media, on the other hand, seeks to piss on people who are already struggling. Powerless people taking out their frustrations on other powerless people.
When you're slapped, you'll take it and like it.
So, what got me started on this series of articles about the nasty things we say about each other online? I'm no stranger to the digital world of workplace gossips, illiterate reviewers, intellectual gas bags, and psychotic trolls. I've learned the value of taking the high road and then, if all else fails, blocking repeat offenders from my social media accounts and reporting the dangerous ones to the platform operators. The specific reason I decided to delve into this topic at length, ad nauseum perhaps, is because a hit job was done on me recently, and not by a bored troll or a self-righteous Bernie bot or any of the other usual suspects. No, this attack, which yet hasn't amounted to any harm to me, both because of its obscurity and its irrelevance to my life at this time, obviously brewed in the mind of a powerless person for almost as long as it has taken me to write about it. And I write about it because America has fallen to this nadir in the information age. Anybody can say anything about anybody to almost everybody, and nobody seems to give a shit about the veracity of those statements. We as a nation have a moral outrage addiction, and many of us are all too willing to believe anything that fuels our daily dose of imagined superiority. And that goes for liberals perhaps even more than conservatives. The worst offenders on PolitiFact.com, which, by scrolling down the Pants on Fire listing, seem to be Donald Trump and a bunch of viral memes, emails, and Facebook posts. These people get away with their truth assassinations precisely because so many voters value their feelings more than facts. In other words, their minds and their decisions are controlled by their emotions. But it's one thing for rich people to zing rich people on TV. That's entertainment. It's another thing for the rest of us to turn on each other because we're so bored and poverty-stricken that stepping on each other has become a hobby. But before I get around to telling you about the hit job that was done on me, I got to lay down the context of that story, which is what I'm going to do next week. Until then, I'm going to leave you with this thought. Truth is always revealed in a context by which we can measure its value.
Man, that was deep.